we're going to talk about TV now. It's a TV review that is up on the site at the moment. If you want to get stuck into that review, then please do go and read it. It is the 42-inch LG C2. Now, we've already reviewed the 65-inch C2. It's sitting right next to me here. We went out and purchased that right at the beginning of the year. We're going to use this as a reference point next to the G2, which I've also got. And we've got the S95B from Samsung, which is directly behind me. This is a little bit different. This is a 42-inch. It's the first time this screen size has been released by, LG Display developed it. LG Electronics sell the C2. One thing I want to get over straight away, and I am guilty of this in the reviews by trying to simplify the whole OLED Evo side of things. I've gotten into the habit of saying Evo panel. There's no such thing as an Evo panel, so I just want to get that out there straight away. Evo is a mixture of the panel being used, the compounds within the panel, and also the video processing. All of that combined in different ways is what LG define in their marketing term as Evo. So I have seen comments on the thread. I'll put my hands up. I was guilty of that. I have removed the con from the list because it was describing it wrong. Because LG make it so difficult to keep up with what's called what. The latest one is OLED EX, which is actually an LG display marketing name for the panels that then become obviously an LG Evo once it's added to the correct processing and so on. So I wanted to get, it's not easy to follow. So yeah, there's no such thing as an Evo panel. So just be aware of that. Evo is a mixture of the different technologies. But anyway, let's get onto the 42-inch. It's a new screen size. It takes a while for these screen sizes to come along. The main problem here is obviously the pixel pitch, and getting 4K onto a panel this size is not easy. It's taken them a while to manage to do that. We had the 48-inch 3 years ago now. And the 42 is obviously next step. I think 42 is the smallest we're going to see. It's definitely from LG Display as things are at this moment in time. But 42 is a good screen size for a lot of people. And I've actually given it a best buy and said that this is the best small screen TV you can currently buy. I stand by that because you're getting the ultimate in black levels. You're getting the most up-to-date picture processor on this. You don't get the brightness booster that's on the 55-inch and above. So let me just quickly explain that. 55 inches and above, they have slightly different panels. Again, let's not confuse things with Evo and whatever. They're just slightly different panels. The panels that are in the 42 and 48 are slightly older generation than the 55 and above. As things go on this year, later in the year, obviously they'll all move over into the latest generation of panel. Again, do not confuse that with Evo. Evo is the processing and the panel and the compounds that are used within those different panels. So it can be a combination of different parts, but they are tuned a certain way, and the processing makes the image quality look the same across the range. But there are a few differences. The brightness booster is the main one, so 55 and above gets this brightness booster, so it can reach a lot brighter. You're talking nearly 800 nits in the filmmaker mode on the C2. 55 and above, it's slightly lower when we get down to these smaller screen sizes. Obviously, the advantages of the smaller screen sizes, it can go anywhere. It can be used as a monitor, and I think this is a big plus point. A lot of people out there were saying, well, actually, I don't want to use an OLED. I'm going to get image retention and burn-in. You will if you overuse it and you have it too bright and you have a static image on the screen for a long time and you disable the mitigation that's built into the TVs. If you sidestep all that, then the likelihood is you will get image retention, you will get burn-in. For you guys out there, general users, those people who take pride in their equipment and want to get the best out of it and get the best use out of it, it's not an issue for you gaming on one of these TVs or using it as a monitor. I used it for color grading some videos that I'd edited because I felt it was of good enough quality to do that. I've been experimenting with HDR video, and again, it was perfect for that. The thing I did try last year was a 48-inch as a monitor sitting in front of me, I did try that, and the problem was I was sat too close to it, and you can start to see, the pixels and all the rest of it, and a little bit eye strain, and text doesn't quite look right, and so on. Whereas I found the 42 at the same distance that I was sitting from the 40, a different experience and a lot more comfortable to sit with. You do need to sit a little bit further back if you're going to use it as a monitor, but it makes a great monitor. And again, you've got pixel level control here. You've got ultimate blacks. You've got really bright whites. You've got that pixel makeup in here in terms of the number of pixels in such a small area. It makes things look ultra sharp. Even from a normal viewing distance, it looks fantastic. So yeah, if you're asking me what's the best small screen TV, it's going to be OLED. It's going to be this OLED. It is absolutely fantastic. It is the best in terms of video processing that LG has done. Just above black is excellent. Motion is improved over the C1 and the C10. So yeah, E4 HDMI 2.1, 48 gigabits per second. WebOS 22 is really, really good. You got Dolby Atmos, you got Dolby Vision, you got HDR10, HLG, and Dolby Vision IQ. It's a cracking TV. I couldn't find that many faults with it. In terms of general all-round TV for the living room, it's superb, and so on. So before we move on, I'm just going to quickly go through some of the questions, because I can see that the questions have been coming in. And again, the review is on the website, so go read that. And if you've got any further questions, you can obviously ask the questions in the thread attached to the review or in the podcast. But 42 inch, does it come with a pedestal or feet? It's 2 feet at either end of the panel on this TV. It's nice in that it lifts the panel enough to get a soundbar, or if you're using it as a monitor, you can slide your keyboard and so on under there out of the way if you're using it as a desktop. I'm going to come back to the question that Stevie DR asked about Jules and 83 inch. We'll come on to that in a second. Very quickly, 42 inch OLED. I read on other forums. I've explained the Evo stuff. So, JG Knots, thank you very much for that question. I have answered that one in my roundup. Very quickly, we're back to turntables. We're back to. I want to make sure I get everybody's questions here. No need to upgrade. If you want to upgrade your C1, get it calibrated. That's good advice, Bruce. Yeah, you could do that. You're going to miss very little actually in terms of features and so on. The better processing, the better upscaling, the better motion, slightly better on the C2, but is it worth the extra? Only you can decide that, whether you pay for a calibration, do your calibration yourself, or upgrade. A lot of people using the C2 as a monitor. Yeah, great. Paul S. It makes a fantastic monitor. I have done that while it was here. Used it with my MacBook for editing and so on. So yeah, I think I've covered most of those questions. If I haven't, if you've got questions, you're listening a little bit further on in the week after this has gone out live and you want to ask questions, do that in the podcast thread underneath this podcast. I will get round to answering them. I am trying to make myself available when these reviews go live, and also when the podcast go live. If you've got questions, we will get round to answering them. Right, so there was a question for Jules here connected to the C2. Just need to find it again. So bear with me. So Stevie DR asked, Jules mentioned the 83 inch LG. It was the C2, wasn't it?
C2, yeah.
Yeah. Can you talk about that a little bit more in detail? You want to know what uniformity, etc., is like on the much larger panel size. And of course, that's something that I don't look at here in this room. I have to go outside of here and go inside to see the.
Could you get one through your door, Phil?
Nope, I couldn't. 77 just won't fit because the door is on the staircase.
Yeah.
I'm actually restricted. 65 is as big as I can get into this current premises. But anyway, uniformity, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Is there much difference the larger you go?
Well, this is the only 83 inch I've so far seen, and it was actually very, very good. No problems at all with that. So if that one's anything to go by, no worries. It was really, really good on its uniformity.
And again, your filmmaker mode and so on. You impressed with that?
Yeah, absolutely. It was all pretty. Pretty accurate. In filmmaker mode, excellent. It doesn't get you complete accuracy, but it gets you really close. Of course, what I was doing was perceptually matching it to an ASO LCD monitor, which was really tough because that looked very, quite different, even though they'd been calibrated to the same white point. Yeah, that was the challenge in that studio. But yeah, I mean, 83-inch, superb. It's the large screen, isn't it? It's what people pay to get for IMAX for, isn't it? The bigger the screen, the more immersive the whole thing is, and it's a superb picture. Really, really good.
Yeah, no, I can definitely see the conversation we've had many years on this podcast. Do you go large screen TV? Do you go projector? It is getting closer and closer now in terms of image size and so on. It's one of these things we're going to have to consider soon. Am I right in thinking, Jules, that you actually looked at the Sony Laser, the 7000 recently?
Yeah. I calibrated that a few weeks back. I've got another one coming up next week as well.
Okay, well, I had one just turn up for review, so I sorting the cinema room out, going to get that up and running, and so we will talk about that in a future podcast. So if you're interested in the latest gen of projectors and how they calibrate and setting them up and all that kind of thing, we're going to get round to that, so stay tuned for that.